Hey guys, it's YodaJoe93. I just got done watching episode 5 of my adventures with Superman, the newest Superman and DC anime. And so this is a very big milestone for DC because they've never done this before outside of the anime movie they had with Batman Ninja. So they've done anime things before, and it's always turned out very successful to them. This has turned out even more successful than they could have hoped. So this is on Max and Adult Swim, and usually the content isn't very explicit or any crazy, but this episode was awesome. So the first couple episodes really started shaping the story, and it became something really unique, and it was really cool. But this episode reminds me why I love DC so much. So, if you guys don't know about me, I am a huge... People have their favorite DC villains. People love Joker. That's like who they stand by as their main favorite DC villain. For me, as a martial artist, and a fan of Hong Kong cinema, and a fan of guns and swords and everything that is great and awesome, I love the character of Slade Wilson and Deathstroke, which is why this episode is going to get one of the highest praise for me. So this episode, we have Lois, Clark, and Jimmy trying to come to grips with their situation. Lois is trying to convince Clark to tell her that he's Superman. And this episode is called Believe the Man That Lies, I believe is the title of this storyline, if I remember correctly. And so this episode is all about, people lying to each other and how that can affect people around them. The world crumbles, everything becomes this bad puzzle, and it's not good. It doesn't work, and it leaves people in a state of horrible tendencies, which we'll get to that later in the review, because there's something that happens at the end of the review that we get to. So, we get the intro for this episode, you get the music, and you see all these different characters in the background, and in the intro, there's a specific character we've seen in the last couple episodes that stood out to me. So we know this show focuses on Intergang, and Intergang is, thanks to Amanda Waller, has been supplied with metahuman tech weapons. So we saw Anthony Ivo last episode had his own kind of a Mazo suit, just like the comics, which is really cool that they've turned a Mazo into like almost an Iron Man weapon, which I really liked. This episode took it up a step further, because we see someone, so we keep hearing reports in this episode, Superman saving people, and when they try to stop Intergang, they're like, basically these Intergang soldiers have gone rogue and have failed, are being hunted down by their own. So basically, they're like, Superman say, you kidnapped all our people. But, so they're like, yeah, you kidnapped all my friends and are kidnapping them and taking them places. And Clark's like, voiced by Jack Quaid, I didn't take your people, I want to save everyone. And then this one guy, while Lois and Clark are handcuffed together, basically goes, oh, yeah, tricks Clark and gets away. Then Clark takes Lois on the thing, and Clark is trying to confess his feelings to Lois in this episode, and it's not going great, because she's so fixated on him lying to her, being Superman. And so that's kind of a big theme of this episode. And then you got Mr. Olsen is bonding with the sports guy Steven, realizing that this is his YouTube rival, basically his blogging enemy, and he's telling him he's just like him. They're trying to work together, and it's not even that they're on an assignment. It's literally he just wants her to go and make videos with him, disproving his theories and all those things that are happening. And that's how they're trying to do journalists through their blogs, which is very interesting that they've taken that approach. I thought that was a very good way of doing this. So that's where things get dicey here. So then, and you have Jimmy's really excited because he wants to go on this trip with Clark and Lois. They have their big thing, but Steve's telling him, that the Amigos aren't going to be forever, and they're busy doing their own thing. Life moves on, and so this is a very good lesson to learn for anyone here. And I think this really stood out and made these characters feel more human, and it really worked for me. But now let's get into the meat and the potatoes, the reason we're here for this review. Then, after hearing these rumors, this one Intergang member with the fire is being chased down by this blur, and everyone's like, oh, who's this going to be? Because, Clark, we saw a silhouette earlier in the episode and in the intro of a man walking around in a mask with swords. Now, many of us who are big hardcore DC fans, we know who this man is. We know. Now, I needed to wait for a little bit, but then in this episode we see Clark is being targeted by this person with white hair, younger, wearing kind of a high-tech visor, and then he puts on the mask and has these cool enhanced swords. And that is the one only Slade Wilson Deathstroke is working for Amanda Waller in this show, and we get an anime spin on him. He has the katanas, but he can turn the katanas into guns, which is sick. This is just how his inner gang weapons work. He's hunting Superman. That there's kind of this agenda that they're building towards, where this general, I think, blames Superman for destroying his home. There's a bunch of stuff that is going on that we still don't understand. So as I say, the plot thickens. We get Superman versus Deathstroke. I couldn't be more happy. I can't wait to see the next episode, and I want it. I want it, and I want it now. And then we end the episode with Lois and Clark. Lois tricks Clark by jumping off the building, and then Clark reveals himself as Superman, and she basically says, I don't know whatever we were going to be, but you lied to me. So she's being overdramatic over Clark not telling her that he's Superman. And so this kind of, there's a lot of there's a lot of lack of trust going on here. And so unfortunately, we had to get a bit of drama, but I'm sure it will be resorted in we'll learn more about it in the next episode. This episode was damn near perfect. I'm going to give it a 9.7 out of 10. It's the best episode of the show so far. Can't wait for episode 6, and I hope you guys enjoyed my review. And as always, make sure you like, share, and subscribe, and I'll catch you in the next video.